Buying a home is awesome, and one of the most important parts of the home buying process is having a good home inspection. A standard home inspection is going to be fine in most cases, but there are instances where you're going to want some additional inspections to make sure you don't have any surprises down the road. So today I'm going to be bringing you 5 inspections you want to consider having, if warranted, to make sure you don't spend a lot of money once that house becomes yours. I'm Mark J. Schmidt with RE/MAX Country and MoveMeMark.com, and I'm here to help you get the most out of the real estate market and your home. If you're new here and you like what you see, be sure to like this video, make sure to subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss out. So let's get right into it. Of these 5 inspections, we're really going to be going in no particular order, but some of these items can wind up costing you a lot of money if you don't catch them before you close on your home. So we're going to start with radon. Radon, if you're not familiar, is an odorless, colorless gas that is caused by depleting uranium in the ground. Basically what happens is under your house is this uranium. It comes up as radon, and as it rises up, well, they think that radon could be a carcinogen and it could cause cancer. So you want to have a radon test done. A radon test is going to determine how much radon is in the house, if there's any, and if it comes to a certain level, which is 4 picocuries or more, you'll want to remediate. And you definitely want the seller to remediate that, or to give you a credit at closing so you can take care of it. The remediation process is pretty easy. Basically, they just take a pipe, they drill into your basement floor, put the pipe in, that goes up and out the wall, and there's a fan outside that basically sucks the air out from under your house and goes up and deposits it over your house. Very simple fix, but it can also cost about $1,800 to $2,000. You definitely want the seller to take care of that if those radon levels are elevated. So make sure you get a radon test in the home you're buying. The second test you want to consider is a mold test. Now, not every home is going to require a mold test, but if you're in a home where it smells a little off, or if you see anything in the home that looks like it could be mold. Now, not everything that you see on a wall is going to be mold. Sometimes you'll just see regular old dirt, and you may think, hey, that could be mold, but if there's a question, you're going to want to get it tested. A mold testing company can do microbial testing as well as bacterial testing, and they can also do indoor air quality testing. And all of these tests are going to let you know whether there is mold in the house. If there is mold in the house, it can actually cost thousands of dollars, depending on the problem, to get the mold remediated. So you definitely want to work that out with the seller before the closing. Number 3 is a chimney inspection. If you're buying a home that has a chimney, especially if it's got a fireplace, you're going to want to get a chimney inspection. Now, why get a chimney inspection? I mean, a fireplace seems pretty easy. You make a fire, the smoke goes up. Isn't that it? Well, there's lots of things that could be going on within that chimney that you can't see, and that's why you want to get it inspected. So there's 2 types of chimney inspections. There's a level 1 chimney inspection, which basically is going to make sure that the chimney is operational and it's still safe to use. During that level 1 inspection, they may find something that is going to require a little additional inspection, and that's when you're going to have a level 2 inspection. This is more of a deep dive into the chimney. It gets a little more rigorous, but again, this is one of those things. Maybe, there could be a problem with the mortar in the chimney, there could be a problem with the liner, and these are things you can't see. Make sure you get that inspected before you buy that house. Now, number 4 on our list is one that people don't think about because they just figure this is going to work automatically, and this is a sewer line inspection. During a sewer line inspection, the inspector is going to take a scope with a camera on the end of it, and he's going to snake it into the sewer line. And what is he looking for? He's looking for any damage to the sewer line caused by tree roots. He's looking for any blockages in the sewer line. You could have blockages due to food or waste or grease. You want to make sure there's no blockages there. You want to make sure there are no cracks or breaks in the sewer line. And finally, you want to make sure that there isn't a belly in the sewer line. A belly is when the sewer line is going out to the street and there's a sag in the sewer line, which is going to cause the sewer line to not go all the way out. In order to fix a sewer line like that, it really requires digging up the yard, pulling that sewer line out and replacing it, maybe putting more stone down, what have you. This can cost $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. So you want to make sure that that sewer line is operating correctly and it becomes the seller's problem and not yours. Now, our final inspection is a big one. Number 5 is an oil tank sweep. From the 1930s through the 1980s, homes that were heated with oil many times had their storage tanks buried underground. I guess they figured, hey, you know what? It'll look nicer. We won't have to see this big tank in the basement or on the side of the house, so we'll put that tank underground. And that sounded probably like a good idea at the time. But of course, who could have known that putting metal in the ground, which is really wet, could result in rust? And what happens when that rust starts forming on that oil tank? That oil tank starts leaking. Once that happens, then you got a big problem, because then you've got to get the government involved. You got to start remediating that tank. And a leaking oil tank can cost tens of thousands of dollars, depending how big that leak is and where that leak is. Sometimes if you've got a leak that could be going to a stream, I heard of one case where it cost $1 million to remediate an oil tank that had leaked into a nearby stream. You don't want to get involved with that. During an oil tank sweep, they're basically going to use an electronic scan to scan the property and see if there's anything that could be an oil tank that is there underground. Now, even if you're buying a house that's got gas heat, you still want to consider having an oil tank sweep, because they may have converted that home to gas after having oil heat previously. Now, there are some telltale signs that an oil tank could have been buried underground, but they're not always there. So having an oil tank sweep is so important. Let me tell you about a client of mine. I was selling this home in North Brunswick. This woman owned the home for 37 years. She said there was no oil tank underground. She did have one in her basement, but during the home inspection that the buyers had, there was this much pipe that was coming in through a wall and was crushed against the wall. The buyers had an oil tank sweep, and it turned out there was an oil tank buried under her patio. So she had to break up the patio, pull that tank. There was oily water in the tank. The top of that tank came up like it was aluminum foil. It was absolutely crazy, and she had to take care of it. She got lucky. It only cost her about $12,000 to take that oil tank out of the ground, and luckily there was no oil that had seeped into the soil. But again, you don't want to deal with that. If the home has a potential oil tank, get that sweep and make sure the seller takes care of it. Just because the seller didn't know about it doesn't mean it should be your problem down the road. So those are the 5 inspections you should have to keep yourself safe and not give yourself any financial surprises down the road. Now listen, if you have questions about home inspections, if you have questions about the buying or selling process, there's a fantastic resource. It's my website. You can find me at www.MoveMeMark.com. Thanks so much for watching. If you missed our last episode, I've got it right here for you. And here's another episode that YouTube thinks you should watch. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you hit that circle and subscribe so you don't miss out. And I'll see you next week for more real estate goodness. You have a great week.